A very warm good afternoon to all the dignitaries present here. It's an absolute honor and pleasure to welcome all of you to the launch of RINK, Research Innovation Network Kerala. RINK aims to translate the research products into commercially viable ventures by connecting research institutions with industry, corporates, and startups. Kerala Startup Mission, the nodal organization that handholds the startup ecosystem in the state, also supports angels, incubators, and accelerators as they help entrepreneurs turn good ideas into great businesses. Kerala Startup Mission accelerates a thriving innovation ecosystem by connecting individuals, groups, and other partners through different initiatives, and one among them is RINK. RINK is envisaged to enable researchers and innovators to explore more opportunities available in the entrepreneurship space, to take up their inventions into the marketplace with the following objectives in mind: to facilitate the collaborative partnership between research community and industry, to promote translational and impactful research, encourage the synergy between startups and the researchers. Over the years, Kerala has developed a network of scientific infrastructure with a host of dedicated institutions and a pool of scientific manpower. These institutions produce several innovations and inventions every year. In order to engage the research community with the startups and the industry, and thereby leading to creation of new ventures, Kerala Startup Mission conceptualized RINK.
Let us now proceed to the ceremony. Please join us in inviting the Chief Executive Officer, Kerala Startup Mission, Sri Shashi Pilasiri Mittal, for the welcome address. Shashi sir is currently working as the Chief Executive Officer, Kerala IT Parks and Kerala Startup Mission. Before taking up these roles, he was the Director of International Center for Free and Open Source Software, ICFOS, under the Department of Electronics and IT, Government of Kerala. He has also served as the Senior Director and Head of Center for Development of Advanced Computing, CDAC, the premier R&D organization under the Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Arun. Abraham sir, Rajo Balagopal sir, Dr. Saji Gopinath, Professor Chandrahas Narayana, Dr. Ajay Ghosh, Ms. Rajeshri, members from R&D institutions, industries, startups, funding agencies, and other associate institutions. The R&D activities in India has been primarily driven by the government R&D organizations. And until recently, the activities have been for the technology development per se, and there was not much of a focus on commercialization, productization of these activities. And naturally, the researchers will be happy till the technology has been developed, the proof of concept has been proven. Till that, they will be very much interested. But after that, many of the normal researchers will not be very keen. Even though the stages after the proof of concept, it's a huge process, actually, a time-taking activity for field proving in the field, for productization, for marketization. I mean, to develop a product which could be marketed. So it's a huge activity. But unfortunately, the funding agencies in the government sector have not been very much keen, and there has not been a lot of schemes for funding what we call the gap funding from the proof of concept stage to the kind of commercializable product, sellable product. Now, Government of India has initiated a lot of activities, but the success has been very much limited in all those activities. But these days, a lot of focus has been made on the commercialization aspects, the productization aspects of the product, to the extent that many of the funding agencies, the government funding agencies, insist that during the development of a product or a technology, the industry participation has to be there right from the beginning. And also there has to be clear-cut stages of commercialization of these products. And that's a good thing. And also recently the new science, technology and innovation policy, the draft policy has been publicized for feedback and comments. And there also the commercialization of the technologies and products which have been developed as part of the R&D activities has been given a lot of importance. And incidentally, the draft science, technology, and innovation policy also puts a lot of focus on. In fact, there is a specific chapter, a chapter dedicated to the entrepreneurship and innovation, specifically for entrepreneurship. Now, unfortunately, the Indian industry also has not been very keen in taking the products from many of the R&D organizations. There could be multiple reasons for that. One reason could be that the industry may not have the resources which is required for the engineering the product. I'm talking about the hardware products, not so much in the software products. Engineering the products and then making it into a sellable, commercially viable product. Or another reason could be the technology transfer fee. Normally, there are two components of technology transfer fee. One is the one-time fee, and the other is the royalty. The one-time fee has to be paid either immediately or possibly in 2-3 installments, and the royalty fee is to be paid along with each of the products, selling of each of the products. So it will be a percentage of the product cost for each of the product. So the royalty fee, normally the industry may not have a lot of issues because if you sell, you pay. If you don't sell, you don't pay. But it's not the case with the one-time fee because whether you sell or not, you have to pay, which is definitely a risk for the industries. Now, coming to the startups, you know that startups are operating on very, very thin resources. They don't have a lot of resources at their hand. And definitely they will not have the luxury of having their own R&D setup for developing many of the technologies, because many of these are require many huge resources for that. Now, they would be very keen to take the technologies and products which are developed by the R&D institutes, where there are a lot of resources available, a lot of equipment, resources, funding also available. And this forum, this platform is exactly for those, for the matchmaking between the R&D organizations and startups and of course the industry. Of course, there are funding agencies also which could be a part of this. Now, this platform has majorly 4 parts. One is the innovation lab, the startup studio, the business lab, investment corridor. Possibly we'll go into the details of each of these later. But primarily, each of these are for the collaboration, facilitating the collaboration between these different segments of people, like the industry, the startups, the R&D organization, funding agencies. So these are the facilities. This platform provides the facilities for each of these sectors. And currently, we have partnered with 12 R&D institutions, 11 startups, 5 academic institutions, and 2 investors, along with 3 facilitators in this portal, in this platform. And we are today we are having the launch of this product, which will be followed. We have a very clearly defined roadmap for the platform. We'll start with the product launch. We also will have the focused group meeting with the research institutions, industries, and startups after this. Of course, we had a lot of discussions before this also, followed by the awareness creation among the research institutions, sensitization workshops for the startups, the technology transfer activities, support for the technology transfer activities, including the demo days, B2B workshops, research challenges, etc. And to be culminated with the tie-up with key industries, setting up of research incubation facility with the startup of industry, and the onboarding of the international partners. Now, for the launching session today, we have with us Dr. K. M. Abhiram IAS, Chairman of KDIS, or Kerala Development and Innovation Strategy Council. I don't think we'll get a better person, a better dignitary than Abhiram sir to launch the platform. Warm welcome to you, sir. The keynote address today will be delivered by Sri Balagopal, who have been in service for some time and then decided to plunge into the startup ecosystem. A warm welcome to you, sir. Dr. Saji Gopinath, VC of Kerala University of Digital Sciences, Innovation and Technology. I'm very happy to invite him to this function because he conceived this idea. Of course, I was at that point of time, I was in the developer as part of CDAC, and Dr. Saji, we had a lot of discussions as a developer and user sides. And we also have other major dignitaries, Professor Chandrabas Narayana, Director of Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology, Dr. Ajay Ghosh, Director of National Institute for Interdisciplinary Sciences and Technology, NIAIST, Ms. Rajashree, Scientist G, CDAC, who used to be, who was my colleague in CDAC, who would be delivering the, addressing us on this occasion. A warm welcome to you, to all of you, sirs and madam. And welcome all the industry partners, representatives of R&D institutions, startups, funding agencies, and all others who have joined in this function. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have a concept video on the RINK and how it works. Let's have a look at the same.
Kerala is the land of abounded human resources. The state has been rated as #1 in the Human Development Index in the country. The socio-economic development that the state has been witnessing for the past few decades have drawn global attention by virtue of the proactive policies of successive state governments. Thanks to the efforts of Kerala's Startup Mission, the state has been witnessing a thriving startup ecosystem and is considered as a favorable destination for technology startups. Over the years, Kerala has developed a network of scientific infrastructure with a host of dedicated institutions and a pool of steadfast scientific manpower. More than 100 research institutions, including those committed to research, are working in Kerala in the science and technology domains alone. Presence of dedicated research institutes such as NSIR, CPCRI, Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology, CDAC, Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Sciences and Technology, ISRO, VSSC, gives a shot in the arm of Kerala's research missions and ultimately a distinctive edge over other states. These institutions produce several innovations and inventions in cutting-edge areas every year. This new technology can be turned into new-to-the-market innovations by the researchers themselves, creating new firms based on their discoveries through academic entrepreneurship. However, very little efforts are being done to translate these research outputs into a commercially viable ventures or products, when the fact remains that it is these efforts that holds the key to transforming the state into a knowledge economy. Startups often fail to reap the benefits of trailblazing research happening in the labs, as they are not exposed to the developments in research frontier. The need of the hour is to form strategies to build an innovation-led ecosystem by bringing researchers, startups, innovators, investors, corporates, and government agencies under one umbrella, failing which Kerala will stand to lose its opportunity to elevate as an innovation hub of the country. Kerala's socio-economic development, coupled with the density of research institutions and availability of intellectual capital, provides a distinct opportunity for the state to position itself as the innovation hub. One of the main hurdles in this direction is lack of collaborative opportunities for different stakeholders in the innovation ecosystem in the state. The Kerala Startup Mission designs Research Innovation Network Kerala, RINK, to address this critical gap by connecting the research community with startups. The mission is to bring a new strategy through their mutual interactions and association. RINK aims to accelerate the technology transfer from the research labs to the market through industries and startups. Research Innovation Network Kerala will be implemented through active participation of leading research institutions such as NSIR, RBT, SCMT, CPCRI, and government agencies, KDISC, KSC-SDE, State Planning Board, etc. The technology platform developed with the support of CDAC will ensure seamless engagement between all key stakeholders, including researchers and startups. RINK Technology Platform will have 4 distinct design elements, namely Innovation Lab, Startup Studio, Business Lab, and Investment Corridor. While Innovation Lab facilitate corporates and startups to identify suitable technologies and innovations that have commercial value and eases technology transfer from research institutions. The Startup Studio support a researcher to translate his or her innovation into a commercial venture and extend a wide variety of hand-holding supports. Business Lab gives opportunity to corporates to work with research institutions and utilize the expertise and resources of research institutions for enhancing their existing services and building new products. Investment Corridor will have details about all funding opportunities relevant to researchers and startups. Kerala, one of the first digital states in India, is bringing back its well-deserving spotlight through innovation and disruption to become the most promising knowledge-based economy in India by catalyzing the strengthened links between the state's research capabilities and industry structure.
Now, with immense pleasure, I would like to take this opportunity to invite Dr. K.M. Abraham, CFA, Chairman, Kerala Development and Innovation Strategic Council, KDISC, for the launch of the RINK. He is an experienced person with a demonstrated history of working in public policy, public finance, and government administration. He is skilled in financial management, higher education leadership, and information technology. A strong IT professional with a PhD focused in technology planning, urban technology, and environmental planning program from University of Michigan. He holds a chartered financial analyst certification from USA. He currently serves as Chief Executive Officer and as Member Secretary at Kerala Infrastructure and Investment Fund Board, KIFBI, and also the Chairman of Kerala Development and Innovation Strategic Council, KDISC. We welcome you, sir.
Sri Sashi, Chief Executive Officer of the Kerala Startup Mission. Sri Balagopal, our mentor and guide for many like me in public policy and public service. Professor Chandrabas Narayana, who is the director of RGCB, and also a next door neighbor to me personally. And we have here with us Dr. Saji Gopinath, Vice Chancellor of the Kerala Digital University, the newly founded Digital University. Srimati Rajeshri, Senior Scientist from CDAC, and a host of other dignitaries who have joined me. Along with me, I have the Project Director of the program, Sri Riaz, who has been very passionate about it. It's a great pleasure and an honor being here with all of you. And I can tell you from my experience working in higher education as the additional chief secretary for around 5 years in that sector, that the area that you have embarked on, the Kerala Startup Mission has embarked on through this platform, that's a very, no doubt, critical area, but it is a very difficult, challenging area as well. Now, RINK, as we will come to hear about it more, is all about collaborations. It is about collaboration between the research community and startups. It is about collaboration between research community and the industry. It is about collaboration between the research community and the investors. It is all about translational research. And it is all about giving access to the products of research that comes out from institutions and universities. Now, having said that, I've often wondered, why is it that policymakers don't really give the kind of thrust or the kind of stress on building this collaboration? I was looking up the National Education Policy, which was published in September 2020. And surprisingly, there is only a kind of a lip service about university, industry, or research collaboration. Very, very few words have been devoted to it. It talks vaguely, as it used to do, as different papers coming out from the higher education policy makers have done in the past also. It talks very vaguely about industry academia linkage, nothing more. And it talks about the National Research Foundation, something on the pattern of the National Science Foundation, with apparently huge funds going to be given to it. But there again, in the mandate given to the National Research Foundation, the cultivating the industry research linkages, that is given practically only a lip service, I would say. So that is the situation, or that is the area into which RINK is going to enter, going to foray into. And I wish the Kerala Startup Mission all the very best in that venture. Now, typically, if you look at it, why is it that there is a disconnect between research and institutions and the industry, the industry capitalizing on innovations or potential innovations coming out from there? Typically, as I said, even my own experience as a modest academician, I would say, doing my doctoral days, I would say that typically research is all about, why do people embrace, or why do people go for a PhD? And 90% of the people would fall into the category I'm trying to delineate now. It is because it is good for promotion, or it is because I want to understand a bit more about about my field, or it is because there is a postgraduate program I want to be part of it, and therefore, or it is universities encourage it because the more number of papers, the more credible you be, and your standing in the league tables will be good. Therefore, we embrace PhD programs and research. Or else it could be that research is oftentimes research is a very paying proposition because it is quite funded, and universities and institutions might want the research even to survive. But then the core is missing. Connecting the product of this whole thing is somewhere it gets lost. And in the whole hurry and halabala of peer review and other pressures, this idea gets submerged somewhere, and nobody really bothers about it anymore. And perhaps one more reason could be that the incentive structure itself is misaligned. Nobody rewards anybody bringing in a research idea and translating it to an industrial process or an industrial innovation. Way back when we were students doing our PhD program, one of the common references that we would make in technology policy was by two authors called Abernathy and Atterback, who actually did a very interesting paper on patterns of innovation. And in the patterns of innovation, what they kind of focused on was that industry, one of the reasons, apart from what I just mentioned, one of the reasons that stands in the way of absorbing an industrial or a research institution into the industry is because industry cannot actually make much of one idea coming out of research. What it says is a major innovation in any industry is actually a series of incremental innovations. And if that is so, if that is the premise which a 1978 paper by Abernathy and Atterback focused on, this means a platform like RINK is an inevitably important critical component if you want to foster this ecosystem. Later, after Abernathy published this paper in to this day in 2005, there was a study by the National Bureau of Economic Research. They called it the influence of university research on industrial innovation. They found 4 channels for translating research institution or university findings into the industry. One is, the channels are, some of them are quite familiar to us. The first channel is basically journals and publication. The second channel is informal networks. The third channel is industry goes and looks at what are the patent publications, patents for which the university has applied. And the fourth channel is conferences, which occasionally happen, and researchers and industry sometimes get to meet. But what they focused on was there is a very important element which can't be quantified. And they said that that encouraging or a collaboration between informal, nobody knows it, nobody can quantify it, this kind of a collaboration between industry and research organizations, that is what is the key to transferring knowledge from the research institutions right into industry. And RINK is an idea whose time has come perhaps long back. What RINK proposes to do, from what I understand from what Sashi explained and from the brochure and the video we just saw, RINK is going to be a platform where we're going to collect information and permit this kind of a dynamic relationship. The only caution that I would like to, particularly give Sashi, who's going to head it, and Riaz too, is that the interface managing the relationships should be very strong and agile. If you don't have a very effective, efficient interface, which is going to manage the relationships or the collaborations between industry and research, then there is a possibility that this could be just another platform. Ideas can come in and stay there, and nothing happens thereafter. So, with this, note of caution, let me once again congratulate Sashi and his team for doing this brilliant work, and with the kind of support that we have from Professor Chandrabas and Professor Dr. Ajay Ghosh from NIST, we can expect in the near future to see brilliant results coming out. I'll close my remarks by saying that Government of Kerala has launched the Kerala Knowledge Economy Mission. And in the mission, what they're trying to do is build a kind of a whereby we will be able to elevate the knowledge economy scale of the state itself, and provide in a matter of 5 years, provide jobs to 20 lakh people in the knowledge economy spectrum or the knowledge economy range. My feeling and my conviction and my confidence is that RINK is going to be an extremely useful platform as we go about discovering ways to achieve this tremendous target that government has set before organizations like ourselves, like the Digital University, the ICT Academy, and so on and so forth. So let me once again wish you all the very best. Thank you for this opportunity. I declare the platform launched. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, we would like to invite Sri C. Balagopal, founder, Terumo Penpal. C. Balagopal, sir, is the independent director, Federal Bank, founder of Terumo Penpal Blood Bags, author of 3 books, philanthropist, founder of Unhurt Trust, and first president of TAI Kerala. Balagopal sir visited the Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute of Medical Sciences and Technology in Trivandrum out of curiosity after reading news reports that its R&D wing had indigenously developed blood bags to facilitate blood transfers, has eventually become the market leader for manufacturing the blood bags across the globe. The blood bag factory of Terumo Penpal Limited is now the biggest of its kind and employs around 1,200 skilled persons. After selling his stake in Terumo Penpal Limited, which is one of the largest makers of high-tech biomedical devices in the world, Sir went on to support a plethora of social development initiatives in Kerala and Manipur, where he was once served as an IAS officer. We would now welcome you for the keynote address.
Thank you. Good afternoon to all those who are present. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, why I'm asking that is because the internet connection in my area seems to be unstable. I've been getting that message repeatedly. So it is a great pleasure to be here and to see my good friend K.M. Abraham again. And I remember seeing him as a much younger officer many years ago when he was heading the Institute of Management in Government. And even there, it is very difficult to keep a person like him quiet because he was engaged with a very comprehensive plan for modernization of the processes in government at that time. And what a beautiful plan and how much detailed planning, I remember, and effort went into that. So I was able to get a ringside view about that. Of course, much water has flown under the bridge. He has got older, though it doesn't look much older, unlike me. And so here we are about 20 years later and with a vastly different world. Now, I am also glad that to be associated, to have been associated with Riaz for some time. And we had several conversations on the same subject a few years ago. And one of the things which I was pointing out those days was the fact that we have resources, we have many elements of the of an innovative technology ecosystem present. But elements of the ecosystem don't make an ecosystem. The operative words here is system, which means the elements in the ecosystem must be talking to each other. If they work in silos, that doesn't make, it's of absolutely no use. And my experience as an entrepreneur was, because it was a small enterprise with very limited funds, and we had taken a lab scale know-how, and we anticipated some problems, though we did not really anticipate all the kind of problems which would be there in moving from lab to the field. So I used to call my plant that initially I used to call it the commercial scale pilot plant, because that's what it was actually. And though we didn't realize it at that time. So during that time, we were forced to go to not only the labs and the scientists of Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute, we went to I remember going to the Keltron tool room, which is now the Gulati Institute of Finance and Taxation. I was just thinking what a beautiful tool room it was. And I was horrified to learn that it has become an Institute of Finance and Taxation now. Okay, at least it's better than shuttering it down and keeping it thing. But that was a first-class tool room. And now it has become this. So we went to Keltron to get answers. We went to CDAC so many times to get answers. And I remember we benefited so enormously because earlier we were constrained by the knowledge of our young electronics engineers. We had a small medical systems group which developed custom-made electronic equipment for blood banks, for blood separation. And we found a lot of answers coming from the very highly qualified scientists and engineers of CDAC, who saved us a lot of trouble with casual suggestions which they were able to make to us, which our chaps went back and tried it out. We heavily used the sophisticated instrument facility of the Indian Institute of Science at Bangalore, because not only because of the very high caliber instrumentation which was available, but the high caliber scientists who were there who could interpret the results and make sense out of it for us. So, and then CIPET. So our company's journey from a very small startup to in its niche, we were able to achieve world class. And we were recognized by that I think my company, when I sold it, was holding about a 10% global market share in a very high-tech field, which is quite an amazing record for an Indian startup. Was largely enabled because of the fact that we had the good sense to tap the scientific and technical know-how which was available in Indian laboratories. And that's where I want to come to one of the real problems. And I'm glad that RINK has started up. The real challenge here is not just making available the facility or the fact or creating awareness. It is the reluctance, unwillingness, and lack of risk-taking ability on the part of the business community of India. You know, our entrepreneurs want a ready-made solution served up on a plate. I'm being completely unapologetic about it. I've seen it. I'm not very proud of their behavior. And they want ready-made solutions, which is why they prefer to buy some third-rate stuff from China or some other place. Now Chinese stuff is no longer third-rate. It has become very high-quality stuff because they learned by doing. They learned by making. So the other important point is, while RINK provides a platform, I think your challenge, Dr. Abraham, is going to come from getting industry to come in. Because if we assume that there is a hunger and a thirst for finding answers to technical solutions on the other side, I think we'll be making a very big mistake. But the good news is, so that's the bad news. But the good news is, in the case of the startups and the MSMEs, you will find this hunger is there, genuinely there. I am not so impressed by the large corporates in the private sector. They are out after, there's this rent-seeking behavior. They look for, they have not changed one bit before. They are just the same as they were before the liberalization of the economy. They're finding this, the new economy, the highly competitive, open global economy, very little bit uncomfortable for them, which is why the top ranks of the, I mean, I'm sure you know, you were in SEBI earlier, you would have seen that over the last 30, 40 years, the top 20 or top 50 corporates in India, the lists have completely changed. I think every 10 years they're changing so fast because new ones are coming up. So the other point which I want to make is, this platform actually is going to, because of the fact that you have now created, you have now enabled an ecosystem, and the system is going to start functioning, people are going to find the benefits for it. And one of the elements, as I said, is the MSMEs and startups have questions to which they need answers. Louis Pasteur famously said, chance favors the prepared mind. Now, apples have been falling on people's heads for 1,000 years, but that particular apple which fell on that particular head only was able to make him ask a question and find an answer, isn't it? So unless we are looking, the answer might be right in front of our face, but there is absolutely no use unless we are looking. So that's where the platform comes in, and that's where RINK is going to, the synergy which is going to come out of RINK, I am all excited about it, because this, you have to allow for chance. There is a role for chance and serendipity here. You can't have a kind of one-on-one correspondence between I walk in with a question and walk out with the answer from a lab. It never works like that. What happens is you walk in with a question, and then on your way in, you happen to look into one of the labs and you see something going on there. And then you stop and say, hey, what is this going on there? And then you find that that leads to something else. And you find yourself going in a completely different. It is these kind of synapses which we need to sort of generate. And then what will happen is a virtuous cycle of interaction and collaboration will be set up, which will mostly be spontaneous, which will mostly happen in serendipitous fashion, but the results will be nothing short of magical. So I may be using very strong words here, but I assure you that RINKs, all those connected with RINK, are going to find themselves astonished at what is going to keep on happening. I think this is one of the most encouraging developments which I have seen in the years in which I have been associated with manufacturing and industry and the ecosystem in Kerala. And I would just like to say, I think the first steps have been taken. Some of the institutions have come on board. More institutions should come on board. In fact, I think we should finally come down to where every college chemistry and physics laboratory, not just engineering colleges, but every college which has a postgraduate science department, their physics and chemistry laboratory should become a place where the local SSI unit and MSME people should be coming in, walking in, talking to the professors, saying, you know, how do I do this? How do I do this? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? That is what I think Pandit Nehru meant when he said to generate and create a scientific temper in the people. And once that happens, then we'll become unstoppable. Then I think all the other latent resources which have been present here in Kerala will blossom, will germinate into life, and something very dramatic will be seen in the form of a booming ecosystem. I mentioned, I'll just end with this. I mentioned about my experience in science. Now I'm writing a book about, I'm studying 50 other successful engineering, manufacturing MSMEs in Kerala. And what is interesting is the more conversations I'm having with more of them, the stories are almost similar. If you take PK Steels, they were in metallurgy, steel casting. And they had problems and they were not getting answers. And they found that some of the answers they could get from the metallurgy department of Indian Institute of Science, or from some factory in, somebody working in some factory in Coimbatore. And they went and tracked down those people, the professor, etc. And that's how, they got the answers. If you take Synthite, if you take Agape Diagnostics, any one of them you will find is being built around a scientist who is, who is usually a retired person who comes from the public sector, and then he creates a small scientific group inside that company. So whereas the large corporates in India have been using R&D just as a tax dodge, or as a, trying to get some investment allowance benefits, etc. But the MSME sector in Kerala, which I have seen, and I'm sure this is true of the rest of India also, MSME sector understand that the return on investment is probably the highest in any field they can think of. It is R&D which gives them the highest return on investment. So I think this is a giant, it may appear to be a small step, RINK, but I think it is a giant stride towards building a knowledge economy in Kerala. And I congratulate Kerala Startup Mission and all those associated with this. And I also congratulate Dr. K.M. Abraham for giving the leadership and enabling this to happen through KDISC and the institutional and funding support which they are giving. I'm sure this will be a great initiative, and I'm looking forward to seeing success happening. The first, the low-hanging fruit being plucked in the next few months and years itself. Thank you all once again for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to welcome Professor Chandrabhas Narayana, Director, RGCB, for the special address. Professor Chandrabhas Narayana is currently the Director of Rajiv Gandhi Center for Biotechnology, Thiruvananthapuram, and was the Dean, Research and Development at the Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research, Bangalore. Professor Narayana specializes in Raman spectroscopy. Though a trained condensed matter physicist, Professor Narayana developed a keen interest in biology within a few years at Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research. Many of his work in the research areas are trendsetters in the interdisciplinary research. Welcoming Professor Chandrabhas Narayana for the special address.
Thank you. Thank you very much for a kind introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank Sri Shashi Mittal and Dr. K.M. Abraham was kind enough. Abraham sir was kind enough to say that I was his neighbor, and thank you so much, sir, for initiating such a wonderful thing, and very wonderful keynote address by Sri Balagopalan sir. My friend Dr. Ajay Ghosh from the NIST director, and Saji Gopinath, who is the Vice Chancellor of Kerala University of Digital Science, Innovation and Technology, Mrs. Rajeshri S., who is the Senior Director of CDAC. And also, I would like to thank PM Riaz, who is the Project Director, for inviting me for giving this special lecture. So as I'm going to be a partner also from the RGCP side in this particular initiative, as well as also a user. So I would like to give my perspective from that direction. So we are a multidisciplinary research institute with a mandate on basic research on disease biology and discovery process. We have core strength in cancer research, disease biology, neurobiology, and cardiovascular research. Even though basic research is the key component of our activity, our ultimate goal is translational of key basic knowledge and innovation from laboratory for the benefit of society. In the last few years, we have made quite a few successful stories, translating several of our research products to the benefit of healthcare sector, including diagnostics. At this moment, I'm glad to note that we have already established a good business model with Kerala Startup Mission, where our researchers are continuously engaged with large number of startup incubator companies housed at our incubator facility at CRIPS BioNest, Kochi. I should thank my predecessor, Professor M. Radhakrishna Pillai, Dr. Saji George, and Dr. Santosh, T.R. Santosh, for taking a lot of effort in doing this work at BioNest. This is being jointly managed now by Kerala Startup Mission and RGCV. This model has already proved as a successful one, with great number of startup companies maturing out of it as independent biotechnology industries and large number of viable commercial products coming out every year from the startups in BioNest. In the coming years, more number of indigenous products such as monoclonal antibodies, assays, diagnostics developed by our researchers will be translated for commercial applications through startups from BioNest. RGCB has played a key role to support product and process development activities by industries and startups in our country. This is very evident in the recent time of COVID, where we have been authorized to validate diagnostics and devices for the COVID testing approaches, such as RT-PCR kits, lateral flow devices, ELISA kits, anti-COVID solutions by Government of India. In fact, good number of commercially available kits in India were validated by RGCV using innovative testing approaches developed in short period of time. We continue to support this. Even before the COVID times, RGCV played a key role in biotech and clinical product development activities. Clinical validation of human papillomavirus cancer vaccine of Merck is a good example. Currently, we are also associated with Serum Institute for the evaluation of the indigenous cervical cancer vaccine. Even though we have good stories to cite for our capabilities of product development, it is a fact in comparison with other countries. Overall, contribution of India in biotech product development is not appreciable. And this was recently noted when we were writing together the document for biotechnology vision for the 2021-2025, which I happen to be one of the members for that. We need to identify key issues and bottlenecks to improve the translational potential of all discoveries in biotechnology sector. We need a forum for continuous interaction between basic researchers, startups, investors, and industries. It is indeed a pleasure to see that the initiatives of Kerala Startup Mission has happened at the right time to initiate this Research Innovation Network Kerala. And it is a welcome effort in this direction. Establishing a platform of showcasing the latest research activities and projects can be carried out in the research institutes in the state of Kerala. Of most of the discoveries is not known to the most of the industries. translational value of most of these discoveries is not known to the researchers and remain unnoticed by industries as well. In addition to this, there are several complex behaviors for their current management structure. Some of the repeatedly debated challenges are cultural differences between the basic scientists and industry or clinicians or the society itself, lack of resources in terms of workforce and infrastructure within the research ecosystems, most importantly, the complex regulatory environment. Regulatory issues are more in number than spans from ethics involved in human research, material transfer regulations, intellectual property rights, toxicology, manufacturing regulations, quality requirement, healthcare regulatory agency approvals, study sponsorship, and insurance. All these barriers can be very well managed if we have a real-time interacting platform involving all the stakeholders. In that perspective, Research Innovation Network Kerala is a good beginning. I'm happy to note that our scientists have already provided details of important products and capabilities to be showcased through the Research Innovation Network Kerala. We will be continuing to support this on a sustainable manner. I would like to, at this point, congratulate all the team which worked tirelessly to make Research Innovation Network Kerala a reality, and I wish them all the success in future. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We would like to inform you that Dr. Sajid Gopinath, VC Digital University, he has informed that he's in a meeting right now and would be joining soon. So moving on, next, I would like to invite Dr. A. Ajay Ghosh, Director, NIST. Dr. A. Ajay Ghosh is the Director of the National Institute of Interdisciplinary Science and Technology, CSIR NIST, Thiruvananthapuram, is a professor and the Dean of Chemical Sciences Academy of Scientific and Innovative Research. His research contributions are in the interdisciplinary areas of organic photoresponsive materials, supramolecular chemistry, molecular self-assembly, organogels, and molecular probes and sensors. He has developed a new class of functional soft materials, namely PI-gels, having potential applications in energy harvesting, sensing, and security materials. He has published over 160 research articles, 5 book chapters, filed 13 patents, and supervised 25 PhDs. I would now request sir for delivering the special address.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. To begin with, let me compliment Dr. K.M. Abraham and Shri Shashi Pilasheri and all other members of the Kerala Startup Mission for organizing this function and launching the Research Innovation Network Kerala, RINK. And also I'm so happy to see Shri Balagopal, giving a wonderful keynote address, my friend Chandrabas, and so many other people here today to celebrate this great initiative. It's certainly going to create a good ecosystem for all those progressively thinking, the research and academic and industrial community of Kerala. In this, very limited time, I'm afraid I can tell whatever I wanted to say, but a few things, few thoughts from my side. And I remember Mr. Abraham and also Mr. Balagopal mentioned about the connect, of the university, education and the research ecosystems in universities and colleges as a key drive for these kind of activities especially for translational research and creating an ecosystem to develop technologies and products, which is it is a very, very valid point that they have raised. But at a time when we talk about knowledge-based economy, and also we now talk about innovation-based economy, I think both are both can be very strongly integrated, because if you want to convert knowledge into economy, you need the element of innovation, and without that, I don't think we cannot translate knowledge into a viable, economically viable or a useful technology. So, but fortunately now the government of India and the government of Kerala and many other state governments, realizing the importance, they have come up with a large number of programs. For example, the government of India has, this Skill India program, Innovate India, Stand Up, Startup, so many things. And lately the Prime Minister talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. So these are all, I think, positive signals that is coming from different corners of this country, which will certainly benefit the young innovative minds and research enthusiasts and the industrial entrepreneurs to really come forward and to take up challenges and risk. Because this risk taking was not there in our society because of many reasons, because once you take the challenge, or if you take up a risk and you fail, nobody will be there to support you, and failure will be considered as a very bad thing. But it is it should not be like that. You should encourage people to take risk, and even if they fail, I think we should we should tell them that these failures will eventually lead you to success at some point of time. So, and we should have a system to promote these kind of. One thing which I want to tell you is that why we are lacking innovation in this country. Maybe it is changing today, and we are continuously upgrading our ranking in innovation index. But why it was lacking is because I strongly believe that it is a drawback of our education, our educational system. Whether it is primary education or higher education, there is no element of creating an innovative ecosystem, an innovative mind among our young students. Our education, I'm so sorry to say, that still very old-fashioned, rote way of teaching in all our schools. I'm talking about the science educations. I'm not touching upon any other things, because when we talk about this technology and all related matters, mainly it is science and related subjects. The way the science is taught in the school will never help the students to think about in deep, or never inspire. When I say never, by and large, I know that the system is changing. I'm not at all a pessimist. I'm always think positively, but at the same time, you have to always continuously bring out the weakness of the system. That is the only way to improve. Unfortunately, a lot of things are now happening, and that is always a good sign. But the point is that in the education system, there should be, our children should be trained to innovate. And also, they should be allowed to experiment. And unless we promote these kind of things, because it is very difficult after your education and after having your PhD and all, when you take up a job, if someone asks you, you go and innovate, the innovation will not come just like that. So this kind of a training and creating ecosystem for that is it's very, 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 very essential. And we hope that this will continuously improve. And once the system improves, then we need system like what you are setting up now, a startup mission, or entrepreneurship promotion council, or whatever, or a RINK. and and at the same time you need resources. When I say resources, I'm not talking about the money or any other thing. I'm talking about the human resources, the brain, who has that innovative mentality. You need people who are young people who are ready to take up these challenges, risk-taking mentality. You need these kind of resources because they are ultimately going to partner with you. So I think there are a lot of associated things which need to be strengthened parallelly with your effort. Then only you will see the success, the 100% success of what you are initiating today. I think altogether, there are a lot of changes happening in the system. Both the central government and Kerala's government. There are many new initiatives are happening in the state itself. But at the same time, unfortunately, the R&D institutions in our state is not in par with, I won't say global, even in national R&D ecosystems managed by the central government. You take the central government R&D institutions, they are way ahead than the R&D ecosystems managed by the state government. Maybe many reasons, maybe lack of resources like financial and other. So without creating such an ecosystem with the world-class facilities, we cannot demand people that you go and do high-quality science and then translate your knowledge into products and technologies and innovate. So that is not fair. So this creation of that ecosystem is very essential. For example, you take the case of our major university centers, science departments, you go and see those departments, the status. Again, I must say, I'm glad that system is improving. There are a lot of additions happening, but that is not enough when we talk about the current level of our improvement, when we compare with what something happening elsewhere. So it is our responsibility, all of you. I think your responsibility is not ending here. I think you should also, people like, I'm sure that an influential person like Abraham and Balagopal, all of you can really, trigger and drive such programs, and that will certainly benefit the scientific community of this state. So I don't want to take too much of time because my allotted time is, I think, must be already over. But before ending, I just also want to have an advice. I mean, no, it is not an advice and a suggestions. I was going through the flyer that you have, circulated. I have seen some photographs here. I would personally like to see the photographs of some of our entrepreneurs, their space they have created, the technology they have created, the product they have created, or some of the photographs of the R&D institutions, of this state putting there, instead of bringing something from somewhere and showing it. I'm not saying as a criticism or anything. I'm just, sharing my views to you because, it is always, I always believe that healthy criticism is something which, we need not be afraid of telling things, even in public. So next time when you make flyers, make sure that, these photographs are the photographs of people from Kerala, people from India, and, R&D institutions from India in every communications. Every communication, show the photographs of our R&D institutions, even though we don't have too many world-class, but we still have many good places like RGCB, Sri Chitra in my own institute here, or the thermo pen ball of Sri Bal Gopal. There are many things to show. Let our people see all those things and be proud of that. Thank you so much for this initiative and also inviting me to this great event. And I wish all the success to this organization and also all your endeavors. You can approach me at any time, whatever little help I can offer, even though I'm not an expert in that. I'm very happy to offer that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Next, we would like to invite Ms. Rajeshri S. Currently serves as the Senior Director, Scientist G, CDAC. She has more than 26 years of experience in the field of engineering and technology in various organizations in private sector, PSU, and in government in the domains of e-governance, health informatics, banking, IT, and academics. She has been involved in commercial as well as research projects. I would invite ma'am for the special address.
Ma'am, you are on mute.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, sir. Respected dignitaries, Dr. K.M. Abraham, Shri Shashi PM, who happens to be my former boss, truly eminent and distinguished speakers of the day, Shri Balagopal, sir, Professor Chandrabhas Narayan, Dr. Ajay Ghosh, Dr. Saji Gopinath in absentia, stakeholders, and dear participants. It is indeed an honor and privilege to be part of this launch function of RINK. Since the eminent and truly distinguished speakers before me, who are authorities in this field of startup and innovation, have touched upon literally in all aspects of startups and RINK and innovation, I will restrict my words mainly to CDAC KSM collaborations in the past and present. The Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India, attaches a great deal of importance to innovation and startups. As you may be aware, a nodal agency, MeitY Startup Hub, has been set up under its aegis. As a scientific society under the ministry, CDAC has also been part of many initiatives and for promoting startups and innovation. Now, Kerala Startup Mission and CDAC have recently collaborated to present the Accelerator for Electronics. The accelerator is co-located in CDAC Technopark campus. Through this venture, CDAC looks forward to collaborating with startups to further research in products which are already developed, enhancing existing products, technologies, and solutions to have mutually beneficial coexistence and partnership. Now, CDAC has also been active in organizing many challenges for encouraging innovation and startup, including the most recent hardware challenge purported to encourage the India microprocessor, the indigenous microprocessor developed under the National Supercomputing Mission, in which CDAC has a very active part to play, and its proliferation among startups and innovators is the intended motive. Now, CDAC, as you may be aware, has its strength in many areas of technologies. Now, actually, I had edited out many parts of the prepared text that I have in front of me. But seeing that we have around 132 participants here, where maybe we have possible collaborators also, I'm just touching upon the areas that CDAC is currently working on. So we are into HPC, as you may all be aware, hardware design, cybersecurity, language computing, communications, industrial electronics, professional electronics, health informatics, strategic electronics, that is pertaining to the defense sector. Also, to name a few, we are also exploring new areas of technologies, including artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, industry 4.0, blockchain technology, etc. Now, our work in electronics and ICT has not just been limited to the labs. It is in fact visible across the country. The emergency response system, more popularly known as the 112 these days, is basically working on CDAC technology. Various products, technologies, and solutions we have for the defense sector, including echo sounders on many ships of the Indian Navy, underwater drones, etc. There is a huge mission mode project coming up, which is basically one nation, one card. Transportation solutions, intelligent transportation solutions that we are offering have actually been successfully implemented in Hubli Dharwad VRTS corridor in Karnataka and in Pune Smart City as a pilot project. So we are actually not just an R&D limited to the lab, we have actually taken a lot of products and technologies to the market. Now, CDAC has always followed the TOT model. In fact, we have both software and hardware development here. So most of our hardware or electronics products that we have developed have actually gone into the TOT models. We have done TOT for over 15 products so far with more than 26 partners. So CDAC is looking forward to add more products to this list and also more partners. We look up to the RINK platform as yet another outreach forum for the TOT of our products. CDAC was interested, this is something to do with the portal that you see. CDAC was interested with the development of the RINK portal that you can see. So all suggestions are welcome on this usability of this portal. Any kind of modifications, suggestions, we are definitely open to it. The portal has been designed to offer a smooth and glitch-free operation and experience. This indeed is a self-contained virtual startup ecosystem by itself, bringing all stakeholders to one virtual platform. So this is one part of association that we have with RINK at the front end to design the particular portal. And the other thing is that CDAC is also one of the first R&D organization, or the first few R&D organizations to register in the RINK portal. CDAC has, as I said, always been open to transfer of technology, productization, and collaboration. So we look forward to this platform to further proliferate our technologies, products, and solutions. On behalf of CDAC, I wish all the success to this endeavor. And as Shashi sir was saying, I think there is a solid roadmap which will ensure all success to this program. So I sincerely hope that this platform will be beneficial to all stakeholders and would serve its intended purpose and beyond. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. We would like to inform that Dr. Saji Gopinath has informed that he will not be able to join since the other meeting is going on. So moving on, I would like to invite Mr. PM Riaz, Project Director, Kerala Startup Mission, who is an experienced project management professional with a demonstrated history of institution building capabilities in startup investment, angel investment, e-governance, entertainment, and skill development sectors. He has experience in developing and implementing high-impact social projects with strong linkages with international and corporate clients, including funding agencies. I would like to invite Sir for the vote of thanks.
Sir.
So you're mute.
Respected Ibrahim sir, Balagopal sir, and other dignitaries. I'm not taking much of your time. Today, we are starting though it is a small beginning, we genuinely believe that we would be able to make a huge impact in the innovation landscape of Kerala. I'm glad that there are 13 research institutions already onboarded in the RINK platform. Around 39 research products have been uploaded on the portal itself. We are aware about that. Platform is one thing. Most of the part will happen offline. We will try our level best to rise to the occasion, and we will put our all effort to make this as a successful and sustainable venture. As Sir has earlier mentioned, this is a collaborative network. So strength of a chain is its strength of its weakest link. So I would urge the members of this network to point out wherever we are falling behind or wherever we are in weak, so that we can intervene and other strong members of the community can support in this network itself. With these words, I express deep felt gratitude to all the research members who are participated in this launch ceremony, as well as with our guests, Ibrahim sir, Balagopal sir, Ajay Bas, Chandrabas, Dr. Ajay Ghosh, Rajeshri. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to the CDAC team who developed this platform, because this platform was conceived long back, but it took a long time. So I also take this opportunity to mention few names who were associated with this platform. Mr. Jayashankar Prasad, who was previously with the Startup Mission as a CEO, he conceived the idea, and later Dr. Saji Gopinath, he has extended the support. But now only we were able to launch it, but hopefully we would be able to make an impact. With these words, I conclude my remarks, and I urge all of you to join in the network as well. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for joining the launch ceremony. We really hope this initiative would bring out translational research with better visibility and collaboration. This initiative is expected to accelerate the technology transfer from research labs to market through industries and startups, and thereby enable them to reap the benefit of Industry 4.0. Thank you for being part of the launch. Have a good day.
Thank you.